Welcome in to episode 024 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. My name is David Farmer with Entice, and with me, as always, is David Bertoncini. How you doing, David?
I am well. How are you today, sir?
Doing great. Doing great.
It was post Thanksgiving. We're just off of the that off-site episode we did 023 with Jay with Booth 360. It was just amazing. I hope you guys were able to catch that episode. If you didn't, be sure to click back and watch that episode. But if you're new to our podcast and our channel, let me just put a couple things out there. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, turn on notifications,
ding,
and check us out on all our platforms. We're on, maybe watching us on YouTube, maybe listening to us on iTunes. Check out our Facebook page, but please interact with us. We've got awesome content that we cover. We've got an upcoming guest next week.
Very exciting stuff to talk about today.
Man, she is powerful. She is the Instagram queen. It's going to be an exciting episode. This episode, next week's episode. I mean, we're in the holidays. Stuff is cool, man. It's just good times are coming on through. And we got a little shout out to the coffee team today. So I know, David, you changed up your brew today, and I changed up my brew too. Yep. I went with a local coffee brewer in St. Pete called Grassroots. They don't have a name on there, but they'd give me the old Tampa Bay Lightning, Be the Thunder. So I don't burn myself on them. What are these things called? These sleeves? I guess they're sleeves. Yeah.
I guess they would be a sleeve. Yeah.
The sleeves, but yours.
There's probably another name for it though. Just like the name of the. What are the names of the things that's on your shoelaces? There's a name for that.
The little shoe eye thing.
There's the little plastic thing that goes around the.
Around the lace itself, right?
Yeah, we're gonna find the name.
There's a guy that invented it. That's a decamillionaire from that.
Yep.
But you're drinking what? Your pumpkin.
Yeah. So
pumpkin?
So normally I've been doing the pumpkin spice. With the Keurig. I'm a big Keurig Starbucks fan, drinking it all day long, but was able to find something a little bit different. So we know that we're moving into the holiday season. It's always nice to go to Starbucks and maybe get something like the peppermint mocha latte or a frappuccino, one of my favorites, more like a dessert than anything else. So Starbucks is doing something new this year where they do a peppermint mocha latte, but from a Keurig. So I don't know if it's new this year or not, but I've never seen it before. But you actually take this. It's kind of like a powdered
almost like a hot cocoa,
hot chocolate. You put it in there, and then you brew a Keurig on top of it. It's good stuff, I have to admit. So I'm super happy with this. I'll be doing this maybe for a few more weeks as we're rolling into the big Christmas season.
I'm going to suspect that's about 250, 300 calories with the extra added sugar to that beast.
I'm sure.
And just to get a little checkout on the old sock cam this week, I am kicking the Knight Rider.
Knight Rider 2000.
Old Knight Rider from, I think it might be 80s Knight Rider, the old original David Hasselhoff with Kit. And it's got Dukes of Hazzard down below. But hey, I gotta throw back to the 80s.
Yep.
Gotta love it. That's when we were watching TV, plugged in, and when TV was good.
Yeah, talking about the 80s, of course, you can see everything that we got going on here. We got, I'm a big 80s sci-fi movie and TV fan. You can see some of the stuff from the 80s, of course. We got Back to the Future with Marty. We got Doc there. We got Yoda. And we got to give a little shout out to Baby Yoda. I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're watching The Mandalorian. It is awesome. I think the Baby Yoda is my new favorite character. And we wanted to get a Funko Pop doll, which these little plastic dolls are, that we have on the Modern Dealer Podcast here, but sad to say, the creators of The Mandalorian was not paying attention did not have any expectation on how popular that TV show was going to be and how popular that character is going to be. So you can't buy any merch for Baby Yoda. But what we can get, I was able to get this from my wife. So we do have somebody that we can add to our wall. I don't know. Do you know who that is?
I'm thinking. Oh wait. That's what's his face? Post Malone.
Post Malone. We got a little.
I had to look at it. I'm like, is that Post Malone? Yeah. Maybe it's pre Malone right now.
Yeah. Yeah, probably is. Yeah. So we got a little A little shout out to Post Malone. They're added to the Modern Dealer podcast wall, so that's pretty exciting.
So what are we getting into today?
So, before we get into our main topic, which is going to be, I want to talk about Cadillac Live, which is a new service that's it's been being piloted in Canada over the past I want to say last year, 6 months in Canada. They're rolling that out into some states, including California and Texas, and I think a couple others. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then also roll into the role of a OEM in digital retailing for dealers. And I think that's a very good topic to have some great conversation around. So that's some of the things that we wanted to talk about. But before we go too far, I do want to give a big shout out to Jay at 360 Booth. So if you didn't catch it, last week's episode, we took Modern Dealer Podcast on the road. We set up this table, our mics, our cameras, right inside a 360 booth, and had a great time. Great conversation. That episode released last Thursday. It is available. We can link it up down below in the comments. Of course, you can go to our channel. Now, we have gone, we've passed a milestone with our YouTube channel, and so that's really cool. We were able to, and what that allowed us to do is to get our own vanity URL on our YouTube channel. So now you can go right to youtube.com/c/the Modern Dealer Podcast, and you'll be able to find us that way. So that's pretty cool. Our first real milestone that we've passed on our YouTube channel. So that's definitely very exciting. So one of the things that I'll kind of transition to our episode next week, David, is Instagram. So Jay does a great job of utilizing social media to build his business and advertise his business in a very social way. So I definitely recommend that you follow at 360 Booth on Instagram. You'll be able to see a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of different photos, a lot of different shots of absolutely beautiful looking vehicles inside a 360 booth, and you'll be able to kind of follow him on his travels as he's going all over the world. It's amazing.
I mean, you watch his Facebook, and he's just like jumping all over the globe like a kangaroo, man. He's like, I'm heading to New Zealand, I'm heading to London. I mean, he's just like, the guy's everywhere. He does believe in something firm that, the in-person presentation from a vendor, it does speak volumes if you can show up in person, especially if you're selling the products that he's selling. I mean, they are high dollar, and they need to understand what it is. And he does a whole analysis of the store. So he does. I mean, the guy is unstoppable.
Yeah, unbelievable. Great entrepreneur, great business builder. He has a great product. And like I mentioned, that there is a tie into our next week's episode with Instagram. So somebody that followed Jay on Instagram ended up commenting on a post. I can't remember if it was a post that he made or a post that I made on our Instagram channel, but he also is in the digital marketing business around dealership photos, and he's asked to be on our show. So potentially another visitor. We're going to try maybe figure something out. Maybe we can do something like a live, not a live remote, but we do it through a Zoom meeting like we're going to do next week. And maybe we can do that with him sometime in July, and learn a little bit more about his business and how he contributes to the automotive industry. So that's pretty cool. It's the same way that we found Tamir on our episode a few weeks back. He made a comment on one of our YouTube channels, on the YouTube video for Lloyd, asking if he could be on it. So if you have any desire to be on the Modern Dealer Podcast, just hit us up anywhere, whether it's our Facebook group, my Facebook page, our Instagram account, or on LinkedIn. You're going to be able to find all this information out there always. So it's very cool. So next week we know that we're going to be able to bring some real knowledge around utilizing Instagram to build your brand. So we're very excited about having on that special guest. And thank you, David, for reaching out to her to get this set up. It should be a very exciting episode. And I think that being able to bring a different perspective to the automotive industry from somebody that is an expert with social media marketing, I think it's fantastic. So kudos to you for getting that all set up.
And thanks to her team, because that's going to make it happen too if it wasn't for her team responding, because you reach out to some people and then some people do and don't respond. But I've noticed on Instagram you'll get people to respond.
Yeah.
If you send somebody a direct message on Instagram, and they respond pretty fast. So they are following that. It's pretty tight.
Yeah, very cool. One last shout out to Jay and 360 Booth. As a thank you for participating with us. I know that he is going to be at NADA 2020 with 2 booths, and we may even be there. So, if you're interested in...
We're definitely going to be there. I'm buying my tickets, boss. It's Valentine's. It's actually during Valentine's weekend.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the calendar, and that's on a... Valentine's is on a Friday. And I was mentioning that to the missus, and she's all excited. The wife's all excited about lost wages, as my buddy Jim Keys would call it, lost wages. But yeah, Vegas NADA that weekend of the 14th. We'll be out there. We'll bring the Modern Dealer podcast on the road. We'll have to get some shipping containers maybe out to Vegas out there, but we'll figure it out. It'll be fun, and a little offsite out there. And of course, he's the only vendor that has ever bought 2 booths, 2 of the largest booths from NADA. So
he's going to have a 30 by 30 in both this year, or I'm sure previous years too, at the Las Vegas Convention Center. NADA is so large that they actually need to have 2 rooms. So he's going to have a booth in each room. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So and we were talking about that, and it was pretty cool. So, Jay, thanks again for the episode last week. And lunch was awesome, too.
Yeah, lunch was awesome. We really like that. If you're ever looking for a great place, hit us up in Tampa. We know of a few good places, that's for sure. All right, David. So we are 13 minutes into the first segment, and let's kind of get into the main topic. So I noticed on Automotive News yesterday that there was an article posted about Cadillac Live. And Cadillac Live is it seems to be a kind of a new way for a automobile manufacturer to connect with their customers. It's not a digital retailing application. It appears to just reside directly on Cadillac.com, and I've not had an opportunity to interact with it directly. But what I was able to do is to see some of the screen shares, and we'll actually include, and we can be showing it right now as we're kind of chatting right now. We'll just have it right here. We can have the video going. Mm-hmm. So it looks like what they've done is they have created, excuse me, let me see if I can actually even find it here real quick.
Cadillac.com.
I don't know if we'd be able to see it here, because I know it's something that they're just rolling out. There it is right there. So they're calling it digital shopping. Now, one thing I love about that, just to begin with, is that they are calling it shopping. Which is great. I think there's too many things in the new digital retailing era that we're living in, and it's all about the digital transaction, where I don't know if too many people are looking to purchase vehicles online, but what they really are looking to do is shop online. And then if that funnels into purchasing, great. But it's just like, when we were... It looks like we were getting a little beep there from our wide-angle cam. We'll just let that sit there. I think really going back to shopping versus transaction, I think there's a lot of technology companies right now in the automotive space that are bringing new and innovative products. I think most of them really have this perspective of creating a transaction tool, and I personally think that's the wrong perspective to go at digital retailing. It really is about aiding in the shopping and the discovery of all these different features, not just, it's just like when we were selling cars. We have somebody knock on the door and say, "Hey, who wants to sell a car today?" Right. Everybody runs, right?
Well, it was like one of the sub stories that I've read prior to the episode was about Social Security numbers, and that customers feel it's okay. I think some of these digital retailing tools, they're trying to make it a purchase experience versus a shopping experience. And with that Social Security story I read, that customers they would be more inclined to give Amazon their credit card information and their shipping information versus a dealer their Social Security number, and hindsight thinking that identity theft or something like that. Because they're looking at this as a one-time purchase, a one-off purchase, not a consistent, ongoing subscription like with Amazon. So, I mean, with these tools, I don't know how I'm going with that thought.
Well, what's really, really interesting? So the article is saying that one of the challenges that digital retailing applications are having is getting the customer to take that leap. And that leap what I meant. Is, as they're going through the transaction, they have to add their Social Security number online. And in a lot of these dealership websites, I think there is a level of fear from the customer to actually enter in, because that's a very personal number. I think in our society, we've been kind of educated as you don't give out your Social Security number. That's only something that you're going to handle in in legitimate type of transactions. You're doing your taxes or something like that. So I think from a digital retailing technology standpoint, one of the areas that we can do better is to create that level of comfort for customers to feel like it is very secure, and that it is okay to be able to share that information, so they can, if they choose to. But then again, it comes to the point is, are we looking at providing shopping experiences so a customer can feel confident that they are making the decision that makes sense for them in selecting a vehicle, or are we trying to create a different sales channel where a customer is going to complete that transaction?
Well, what I was the point I was trying to come across to was the level of comfort for a customer, which they don't feel comfortable giving that information to do a purchase, but the shopping, as this new tool from Cadillac is a shopping tool, which makes it more engagement from a customer. They'll stay and engage with this a lot longer than bouncing out of your of your purchase tool that has been installed on a lot of dealer sites. So that's where I was going with when I had a little scatterbrain there for a second.
No, it's good. I mean, it's cool.
So much going on this, man. It's like, guys, we got so much to talk about.
We talked about that in last week's episode, I think in the break with Jay. And, the one great thing about doing a podcast like this is that, it gives us the opportunity just to have a conversation around different things that we're passionate about. And it is live. So, I mean, it's recorded, so it's not live, but we're recording it live. So what I mean by that is, we do this in 2 takes. We turn it on, we talk for about 20, 25 minutes, and we turn it off. We don't come back and do any editing. It's like, if we fuck up and we make a mistake, guess what? We fuck up and we make a mistake, and it's okay.
I just made one. Hey, I just made one. Obviously, we're human, man. Shit, we're gonna fuck up every now and then. So, hey, we're not. That's the cool thing about I've learned about the whole social media thing is everyone strives for so much perfection, and it's really just put out a product, and the more times you put out the product, the better you get at it. I mean, it's not,
and really it is the authenticity of the product of the authenticity of the conversation, of the content, which makes it good, I think. So it's really cool stuff. So getting back to our main topic, which is Cadillac pilots digital shopping showroom service. So this is kind of cool. So let's kind of set the stage. Cadillac has created a studio, and I think it's in Toronto, and they're staffing the studio with product experts or people that they have educated on all the different products. To me, what it almost looks like and feels like is if you've gone to a car show and they got their car show set up. And they got all their different vehicles there. Then they have models or product specialists walking around answering questions, doing product presentations. That's what they're doing in a beautiful studio. It's all white. It's very modern. They got all these beautiful vehicles, and you're able to have a conversation with one of these product experts and ask them questions, and they can do a product presentation about different vehicles, about whatever they're doing. So there is, I don't think there's any expectation of entering into any type of purchase transaction. I think their ultimate goal, as they said, is just to schedule
an appointment at the dealer,
right?
At the local dealer.
And their hope was, as they're going through this, their hope was that the dealership would respond within an hour of that lead coming.
Good luck.
Our
what we've seen lately, fuck, man, good luck with that.
Unbelievable, right?
It's shocking.
Yeah.
We've talked about that in previous episodes. As response times are just like, ah.
I know.
But
I mean, I personally just went through it very recently
with your daughter, right?
With a purchase, and some of those dealerships still have yet to get back to me. A month or two out. So that's pretty amazing.
What I do like about this whole concept here, and it's going to be one of my tips, is that. This is not to sell a vehicle, but if somebody just inquires, and I remember on the episode when we had Sandeep on, and we talked about the internet sales associate or a sales associate going out shooting a personal video for the customer. This is even taking it a step further with a showroom that's available 24/7, not just a call center with a chat or something like that. Like, tell me about this vehicle, schedule an appointment. It's like, hey, we're going to chat. And they set the expectations. If you watch the 5-minute video demonstration, they set the expectations. Hey, you can see me, but I can't see you. I hear you. And if you don't want me to talk like that, we can chat. Just just type in your questions, and I can read off the answers to you of what it is. And you just select from either you want to see the exterior wheels, the features, benefits. You tell me what's important to you, and it's like an amazing walk around, just like a car show would be. Like you mentioned, these folks that work for the manufacturer can just kind of show you some generalizations of the vehicle and getting the customer engaged enough to say, hey, I do want to schedule a test drive on that CT6. That thing looks amazing, from the information you share with me, just real basic stuff. And then it's a handoff to the dealer, which, man, kudos to those guys for that's a genius way to get people involved. And this is a luxury brand vehicle. Just imagine if you could get that done with like a Toyota store or something.
So I mean, as a dealer, since we're really living in this tier 3 world with the dealership, and kind of from a real world perspective, I think is like, what's really happening with your salespeople, your sales managers, your F&I managers on the floor dealing with customers that's walking into the dealership showroom, that's visiting your dealership's website. That's kind of this space I think that we live in. We don't talk a lot about the OEM programs. We don't talk a lot about manufacturing and that kind of stuff, but really what's happening on the dealership floor to help you sell more cars. The reason I'm bringing all that up is that these concepts are things that you can do at your dealership, and you don't need to have any special fancy technology to be able to do it. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has the ability to have a video chat. That's what they're doing, I think. Cadillac and Cadillac Live, I think it really kind of crosses barriers between, the YouTube unboxing video, the idea of social media in that we're just having a conversation with somebody, but they're creating that same experience kind of live. So, I mean, I think it's a great concept if you really drill down to, what it is, it has elements of a YouTube video, so you can be a participant and watch. It has an idea of what you can do on YouTube Live or Facebook Live. You can have a conversation, whether it's somebody that's texting, and it's this personalized experience. So really cool to really start to think about it. And maybe what we need to do, David, is we're rolling into about 25 minutes and 29 seconds into the first segment of episode 024, the Modern Dealer Podcast. So I think we're going to go ahead and take a break. and then we're going to come back and we're going to dig in a little bit further into Cadillac Live and the role of the OEM in digital retailing. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back into episode 024 of the Modern Dealer Podcast. We are on episode 24, right?
Yeah, yeah.
23 was last week. This is 24. I just want to make it sure.
024, we're like, are we counting these things right?
There. You know, on the break, you had mentioned something that was kind of funny. And I don't know how many people has actually watched the entire episode of the Modern Dealer Podcast, but if you wait until all the way towards the end, the last like a couple seconds of it, we do a little tiny clip of
Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek
on it's HBO. Is it on HBO? No, Showtime or HBO? I think it's HBO.
I don't
know. No, Netflix.
It's on
Netflix.
Netflix, you can watch it. It's a Canadian show, so you have to have kind of a Canadian type of sense of humor to enjoy it. But there's one. So one character, his name is David, and his sister Alexis. Always says David's name super funny. And one of the things that she says all the time is, "You, David." So I don't know if you noticed this here, but I got this another.
You, David.
Another addition to the Modern Dealer Podcast shelf.
Nice.
Yeah, my wife got me that. So what you need to do is at the end, if you're watching and you make it all the way through, just let the end credits kind of go, and the last couple seconds you'll get a little snippet
of some sort of David. I think in that YouTube video clip, I think she says David like 125
it's
times.
Hilarious.
She's like, "Oh my God, David!" And since it's David and David, that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Super funny. So okay, getting back into Cadillac Live. So kind of setting the stage here, they have this, they have a studio that's kind of set up like a car show, and it's a beautiful studio, extremely modern. They got all the cars. It is staffed with people that are product experts, and you have the ability to communicate with them, and they can do a vehicle walk around. They can do a feature function benefit presentation. You can do it in a live scenario. So that is designed to really help you choose Cadillac over other manufacturers, right?
One thing you did point out, David, is actually they're just doing feature.
I know. I noticed
no
that too.
function.
Yeah.
They're just doing feature and then just what it is. They don't really give a benefit. They don't give the function. They're like, oh, it has 20-inch wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Oh, there's a couple different,
wheel options, but I mean, it's because it's very general.
Exactly.
Which is still, I mean, it's good to know. But just like you would get at a car show, they're not going to go too deep into what a product expert could get into. But as I said, they're breaking the ice. They're setting up for an appointment, which is the whole goal. Which
creating an experience, right? We've talked about having experience for customers, and I think that really brings in a good point, David. Feature function benefit presentation. So when I was in automotive retail and I had my sales team, one of the things that we did was to make sure that we're training our salespeople not just to be a clerk out there, but actually be a salesperson. So, and part of being that salesperson is to be a product expert and not just being able to list off items that a vehicle has. And I think as a trainer and as a manager of salespeople, I think that was one of my big pet peeves is that, when you're in a selling situation, your goal is to transfer excitement about the product that you're selling. Your goal is to get that customer emotionally involved and invested in that product, so they can, so they get their emotions involved, they get excited about a product. That's what's going to lead them to making a purchase decision. One way to do that is to do a full feature function benefit presentation. So I think it's important to really clarify that. And I think this is something that is extremely important. We're talking about being the Modern Dealer Podcast. We're talking about grassroots, blocking and tackling, what you should be doing on your sales floor today is making sure that your salespeople know how to sell, not just say, okay, this vehicle has variable intermittent wipers. It has 22-inch wheels. It has, a 3.6 liter V6 engine. It comes with, perforated leather seats. Listing off equipment is not doing a feature function benefit presentation. You're not getting anybody emotionally involved and invested in making a purchase by listing equipment that somebody can just read off a window sticker, right?
That's what I was going to say. You're just a Wikipedia window sticker is basically what you've become, just to announce what's on the sticker. But for those new salespeople that would go through the sticker, but like, hey, it's got a 3.6, V6 engine, and the advantage, the benefit of having that 3.0 V6 is going to be, more fuel efficient, compared to the V8, and it's going to surpass you. It's going to help you get past in traffic. So, I mean, like you said, you've got to give, tied in with the customers, what their wants and needs are.
Yeah.
I mean, you tailor your presentation to what they're looking at.
Yeah. So very good point there. That I think that just watching the video, it seems like they were more listing off the equipment than actually doing the selling. So, maybe that's okay. Maybe that is, what their job is just to, is to kind of be that first touch in the shopping experience and not really kind of getting into the actual the selling of the vehicle. So it is something that is face-to-face, or kind of face-to-face. You're face-to-face with them, but they're not able to see you through it. And so you kind of think about, so what are they trying to accomplish? And is this something that dealerships can take this idea and implement themselves at the dealership? When we were talking to Sandeep, at a large volume Hyundai dealership in the state of Florida, one of the things that they do really well is every time a internet lead comes into the dealership, they're getting out there. They're recording a video showing that vehicle to the prospective customer. I would suggest take that one step further and don't just record a video and send it, but actually, ask the customer if it's okay to do a FaceTime with them so you can show them the vehicle. Then you're getting that live question and answer type of a scenario. And there's, it's so interesting too, we start talking about what you would allow your customer to do, what you are your salesperson to do, and what you'd be fearful of what your salespeople would do is if you're afraid to have your salesperson use FaceTime with somebody on a mobile device like this, you should be afraid for that customer to be talking to a customer on your showroom.
Right. You should be afraid of that salesperson. Yeah, exactly. Because or them test driving your vehicles, you might be a little afraid to have that salesperson. But I guess the only fear is just catching the customer on the on the shitter or something like that.
You can ask them
on the FaceTime. Is it okay to FaceTime you at 1:30 p.m.? I'm gonna take you out to the car and show you what it is. Schedule a FaceTime like that with the customer, which would make sense.
I mean, if that doesn't make sense, maybe there's something else that can be done in the middle. Record a video, text it to them.
Yep, personalized video with them.
Personalized video.
Mr. Customer, this video is for you about the 2014 Toyota Corolla with 80,000 miles. This is for you, John. Making it very personal that way. And then, of course, when it's sent out from your internet department, it says right in the subject line, "Made this video for you, John." That's delivering. That's going to get open way before anything else.
Yep. So. And what's really interesting too, if you start to think about, okay, so now we're living in the modern digital age with social media and video conferencing on phones, and we have all of this technology that's available to us. So what can a dealership do? What can a salesperson do to elevate their game in creating a value proposition for themselves? So one of the things that I do, David, which is that every single day I put out a social media tip for salespeople on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Every single day I try to bring some sort of value. And the reason I do that is I'm trying to spur inspiration on how salespeople can actually use social media and the technology to elevate their career. So if a salesperson has the ability to have a phone and they can do a video walk around, what would stop every salesperson from going out and doing a video walk around on any vehicle in stock every single day. And then, you have that recorded, you have that on YouTube, you create your own YouTube channel, just like we have done with the Modern Dealer podcast. Now, ours is a little bit more produced, but I mean, it really isn't that much different than holding your phone up, doing a video recording, and they do have some really cool handles now that you can put your iPhone in that give you a really smooth transition.
Right.
So, you invest a couple $100 more as a salesperson, investing in your career, creating a YouTube channel, doing what Cadillac Live is doing, but for yourself, in your circle of influence, right? And you make those posts public so you can go from your circle of influence to every person's friend list, and you can have that content and really build, kind of a mini celebrity yourself, your own personal brand, your online reputation, right, David?
Absolutely. You asked a minute ago, what would stop a salesperson from doing this? Well, there could be a couple stops. Number one, the dealer may say, "Oh, we don't want you doing that," which
go work someplace else.
Yeah,
that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, definitely go work someplace else. But you have dealers which still haven't bought into, YouTube and different social platforms, which would tell a salesperson, "No, we don't want you to do that." Or you have the 10,000 foot, dealer group that says, "Oh, well, we don't allow our salespeople to do that because we don't want them sending out the wrong message." I'm like, you're fucking sending it to one person is who you're sending it to. It's not like you're broadcasting this on your social platform. Even if you do broadcast on your social platform, it is content that's a lot better than a shit you're already posting.
So I think that brings up a really good point, David, and that is if a corporation or a dealer is making these decisions on what a salesperson can and cannot do, and I think that what they're doing is they're making this decision, based on the idea that a social media post, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, is a representation of a piece of advertisement that's out there. It isn't. Social media is a way to communicate. If you, as a dealer, as a manager, hire somebody and you train that person and you allow that person to talk to somebody on the phone or talk to somebody face-to-face on the showroom floor or on the lot, that's the same exact thing that they can be doing on social media. It's just like picking up a phone. It's communicating. It's communicating in a modern way. Recorded video, Facebook posts, Instagram, all of these things is just a communication channel. It's no different than picking up the phone and calling somebody, doing a cold call, for example, or taking that sales call. So if you can't trust your salespeople to do it, shame on you. I think it's the dealer's fault for not training or putting whatever constructs that they need to around what that is. But that's my opinion.
Right. Well, that almost brings us into our next topic with the restraints of, the ivory tower.
Yeah.
These are the ivory tower handcuffs that have been put on all the way down to the salespeople, but mostly to the tier 3, to the dealer.
Yep.
So that actually transitions perfectly.
It's a perfect transition. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about today was this idea of, Cadillac Live, this is an OEM. They have Cadillac dealerships across the country and across the world, right? And they are assisting creating a way to communicate with customers with this Cadillac Live. What's happening now in the automotive space with Tier 1 and Tier 3 specifically is we have a lot of digital changes taking place today. I mean, it's a very rapidly changing digital environment that we find ourselves in right now. There's a lot of different technology in the space. Entice, as a company, we are a digital retailing technology platform provider. We create Shopper Express, which is really this entire platform that allows a customer to engage in different online shopping activities, whether it is scheduling a test drive, getting a trade evaluation, configuring a loan payment, a lease payment, looking at applying any incentives, also being able to complete a credit application. I mean, that's what Shopper Express does. And there's other digital retailing applications that provide very similar services. So where there is some challenges right now in the environment that we're working in is that OEMs are dictating what providers, digital retailing and or other digital providers, that their tier 3 dealer can utilize. So from a technology provider standpoint, that really creates some challenges. So for example, if I want to do business with XYZ dealership, I may or may not be able to do it because the manufacturer is saying, if you're going to do digital retailing and we want you to do it, but you can only do it with these 3 companies. Now the problem with that is if they're certifying only 3 and they're only giving the dealership the ability to choose from 3, what about the other 30 companies that provide fantastic solutions? So they're stifling, in my opinion, that type of model really stifles the ability for a dealership to innovate and to create some unique solutions to sell their product to the customer. So I think the question really comes down to, what is and what should the role of an OEM be when it comes to the retailing of automobiles in the dealership showroom and on the dealership's website?
I believe it's kind of like the whole best way to say this, like the Brooklyn grocery store business model. So if you don't pay the local VIG, man, if you don't pay the VIG, you can't play. Yeah. So business is getting squashed that way, and apparently those approved vendors through the manufacturer, through the OEM, is like, well, we say it's okay to use these 3. Yeah. I was reading some of the blogs and such about how dealers are flat out fucking pissed off about this, and they're like, I have to pay for the same product 3 times more
because
going
it's through an OEM program, right? Then I can negotiate on my own.
Yep. And then if I don't, then I lose my bonuses and incentives and ad covenant, whichever they've dangled in front of the dealer and say, use these 3, almost like the hypnosis, or else, and it's just like, as I said, it's the old grocery store with the baseball bat bullshit that, like, you got to do this or, we'll smash your head in. Yep.
And so to lay the framework out a little bit, let's kind of explain what this process is. I'm sure almost everybody paying attention and watching the Modern Dealer podcast really understand how this process works. But I think that maybe we have a little bit different perspective on how this actually works and why I think it's a win-lose instead of a win-win. So it's a win-lose because we have, let's say, OEM A. Right? Mm-hmm. And we say OEM A, what they're going to do is they're going to hire this tier 1 advertising agency to run their digital program or whatever program. In this case, we're talking about digital. So they run that digital program. So the OEM works with this tier 1 advertising agency, and the tier 1 agency says, okay, what we're going to do for you, Mr. OEM, Mrs. OEM, is we're going to make sure that every provider that's going to be working with your dealers is going to be able to share information. We're going to make sure that we put in better pricing so vendors can't gouge dealers on these. So it's going to be a benefit in that perspective. And so we're going to certify and we're going to make sure that we make some even pricing. And so that sounds pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. So the reality of what ends up happening is the tier one advertising agency, the certifying partner, what they do is they, number one, they get to pick and choose what vendors they're going to invite to participate in the program. So the way it works is they create what's called an RFP, which is a request for proposal. So this tier one advertising agency, certifying partner, they're going to say, okay, we're going to want search engine marketing tools. We're going to want digital retailing tools. We're going to want trade evaluation tools. We're going to want a chat provider. We're going to want website providers. And we think, based on our research that we want to use this, this, and this for search engine marketing, this, and this for a website provider, this, and this for digital retailing, this, and this for a trade tool, and they send out requests for proposals. And then these providers, they have to put together a proposal. So yes, we want to participate in the program, and we're willing to take a product that we normally sell for $1,000, and we'll sell it for $800. So it's a 20% discount. So the real challenge is, what's happening, this is a little bit hearsay, is that a lot of these technology providers, to be competitive and to be selected by these producers, they're bidding extremely low prices just to get the business. Sometimes I've even heard that they're bidding zero with the goal of hopefully participating in the program and then being able to upsell the dealer on other services that may or may not be in that certification program. So it creates the very weird, strange dynamic. So why is it a win-lose? And really, it's a win, lose, lose, lose. So it's a win for the tier one agency, because what they do is they'll go and sell that product for, let's say, $800. They pay nothing for it. So they're taking 100% of the profit. Or if they're not getting a zero product, maybe they're taking 50% or 30%. So they're taking a big portion of that. So the vendor, number one, to be competitive, they have to charge a less expensive fee. Then they have to give up a VIG, right, to that, and now they're in a position where they don't have the money to properly support the product. So the level of support goes down. So I mean, it really creates a lot of challenges for the vendor, which ultimately the dealer pays the price. And I would love to hear from dealers in our comments, or if anybody out there wants to be on the Modern Dealer Podcast and talk about this topic. I would love to have it. And really, from a real world perspective, what are you seeing? What I see from our dealers, they're telling me that, it's taken, they put a support ticket in, 2 weeks later, they get a response. Wow. And then maybe whatever the issue is gets fixed a week later, but then they fix it incorrectly. So they can put another request in. And that starts this whole cycle over, where some dealerships are changing website providers, and it's taken 45, 60 days to get a subpar product, to where the companies that were offering their product before the OEM program was a great product. It was a great service, but everything kind of goes downhill because, we got one company making a majority of the money, and smaller companies like Entice, we don't even get a date to the party. Because we're not a large player, because we're not doing whatever it takes to be playing in that space, it makes it a little bit hard. So I really feel that we're an innovative company, that our product, at the end of the day, it helps dealerships sell more cars, get happy customers, happy dealers, happy salespeople, because they utilize a great product. But because we're not participating in these programs, we're not able to get some scale. But I can cry about it all day long. But the reality is that I just had to work harder, right? As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a product producer. That's what we need to do. We'll just keep on keeping on, and work through these challenges. But I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But I hope I'm able to kind of share, the structure of what's out there in some of these tier one programs, right?
And the funny thing is imagine if one of these providers you're forced to use has just terrible, provider number one has terrible customer service, is just known for it. But, they came in, they were the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
Right? You just think these ones that are presented to you, here's these 3 to choose from. They were the lowest bidder because now we presented them to you. They're the lowest bidder. They're going to have the worst service, like you said, because they had to make cuts to their employees. I'm like, okay, so we have to cut, 10% of our staff because we had to cut our pricing. Another thing that they're doing
too that creates that dynamic from an outsider looking in is that all of these contracts with the dealership needs to be 30 days. So dealers out there are giving, provider a chance to build a website or do search engine marketing, and they're going through the process of building that out. They're getting bad service, so they end up canceling, and there's a 30-day out on it. So so now all that work that the provider did is gone.
Right.
And then, so it's just the huge turnover, from vendor to vendor to vendor, to dealership, where, the real value in, any one of these products is, from a vendor's perspective, okay, I'm going to do a lot of work up front, and I'm going to maintain with great support. But it's all of the heavy lifting, all of the work is done up front in the setup. Everything else kind of,
support.
Kind of layers up. So, I mean, that's a whole nother dynamic to that as well.
What if you had like a Papa John's vendor, and it's just like, that vendor just did some shit that pissed off the public, and they're like, that's our provider. What do we do now? We can't go anywhere because our hands are tied from the ivory tower.
Yeah. And now what really, what I think is another lose for the dealer is if they can only choose from 1 or 2 or 3 different product providers, that means any of their competition also has to choose from 1 or 2 or 3 of the. So now you're going to be, if
you're
you have
a Toyota dealership right here in Tampa Bay, you've got 6 other stores around you on the same shit.
Yep, exactly. So you're not going to be able to create any differentiation, and that really is, I think, what drives the franchise model for auto dealers is the ability to innovate, is the ability to be an entrepreneur, is the ability to create differentiation with marketing. And, it's all of those things that make the dealership model work, the franchise dealership model work. And so I guess it comes down to it is the role of an OEM, should they be dictating to a dealership the ability to choose website provider? Can they dictate search engine marketing provider, any other type of digital marketing provider, digital retailing, trade evaluation, chat? Should they have the ability to do that, or shouldn't they? So I'd love to get some feedback. So we're 27 minutes in, so we need to get this thing wrapped up soon.
Slice it off. So we'll cover my 3 tips real fast.
Bert's 3 tips.
Ding, ding, ding. So number 1, I would say is, connect with the customer either on FaceTime or make a personal video. Send that out to your customer, just like the Cadillac showroom is doing, their virtual showroom, connecting with the team there. Second, make allow your salespeople to do that, because some of these guys, you got your hands tied that way. And then third, just coming off the conversation about, being forced to use these OEMs. We had a conversation off camera that if you bitch enough and you complain enough to your district manager or to your OEM, just get you off that bullshit program, then get off the bullshit program. Because
it has to bubble up from the bottom.
Yeah, you gotta speak up and say, this shit sucks. Let me off this shitty ass merry-go-round and let me jump on somewhere else. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's all I gotta say about that. Okay, so episode 024, we're coming to the end here. We really appreciate everybody's time. We love doing what we're doing here at the Modern Dealer Podcast. We really appreciate everybody's time in the valuable time that you spend watching or listening to the podcast. So for David and David, we're out.
Oh my god, ew, David!